Okay, so here's the video for sections 1.2 and 1.3. I put both of them together in one section in class, so it's one worksheet, so we'll go through all of it. The first part I skipped, so I jumped to number 6, because I think the first part's pretty self-evident. So number 6 says, find the value of x and KL, which means length. And the reason it's length is because there's no bar over it. When there's a bar, that means just the segment. You can't talk about a length in, but if there's no bar, it means the length of the segment. And the key is this. K is between J and L. Okay, so here's our segment. We have K that's between J and L. Okay, now, from our information given to us, JK is 6x. And this is actually a pretty good thing to do. If you've been given information, draw it out. Make a sketch. We're going to do that a lot in geometry, so use those sketches quite a bit. KL is 3x, and then JL is 27. So here's what we know. These two guys together, JK and KL, have to be JL because they make up the whole segment. So JK, which is 6x, plus KL, which is 3x, has to equal 27. Now I know one thing you're looking at is you're going like, hey, you're saying these guys are the same length. This is 6x, this is 3x. In this case here, we don't care about accuracy. We just care about just the general shape to give us some idea of what to do. So now I have an equation, 6x plus 3x is 27. 9x is 27. Divide by 9. X is 3. Easy enough. Okay, we got length of x. Now to find KL, it's this guy right here, which is 3x, which means KL is 3 times 3. It's 9. Okay. And there are no units given, so we can just leave it as 9. Number 1 and 2, we'll just number 1 because I think that's all we need to do for this. I just wanted to go over this just to kind of talk about the way the book defines distance, because it's kind of weird. If you're looking for the length of ln, it's pretty obvious. You can just go, hey, look at this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away. ln is 6. You can count it. I don't want to discount the fact that you can count it. But the other thing is this. The book talked about in going over distance that you can give it a value, which we did. We said L is at 1 and N oh, sorry, L is at 3, not 1. Can't remember. It's like, wait a second, this is off. N is at 9. And one of the things the book said is distance is the difference. It's the absolute value of the difference between those 2 points. So you could say 3 minus 9, take the absolute value of that, it's negative 6. Negative 6's absolute value is 6. Or you could do 9 minus 3, take the absolute value of that, which is also 6, you still get 6. So you could just use your eyes and count, which is perfectly fine. I would say for this, if you did anything more than that, you're just wasting your time. But just to kind of reiterate what the book talks about with it's like, how do we actually formally find distance on a number line? It's subtract and find the absolute value, and all that's just because absolute value gives you a distance and direction, and then difference gives you a distance and direction. The absolute value removes the direction, it just gives you distance. So it's kind of a technical mathy thing, but you can do that if you wanted to. For number 5, actually finding the distance between 2 points. Okay. That requires us to use the distance formula, which is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And you do this in Algebra 1, you do it in pre-algebra, you should be familiar with this, we talk about it in class, but just to kind of walk you through it again, here's how it works. We need 2 points for this. We have them. F is at negative 3, negative 2. G is at 1, 1. Now, it doesn't matter which one's x1 or y1, but the key is if this, or x2 and y2, but if let's say I make negative 3x2, and this is x1, this means negative 2 has to be y2, and 1 has to be y1. Because if they have the subscript 1, that means this is x1 comma y1, and this is x2 comma y2. Okay. And now it's just a matter of plugging into the formula and working out the arithmetic. What I suggest you do is, negative 3 minus 1 squared plus negative 2 minus 1 squared. I always write this stuff out first and then throw the square root around it because if I write big in here, I don't try to squeeze anything in. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 2. Negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, so it becomes positive 16. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, so it becomes 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5. So these two guys are 5 units apart. Okay, great. 17, midpoint. Again, midpoint's going to be a big formula this year in geometry. We'll use it quite a bit. So how do you find the midpoint? Well, the formula for that is the average of the x's and the average of the y's. Okay. X plus x, y plus y. So 3 plus 5 over 2. 1 plus 3 over 2. This would be 8 over 2, which is 4. 4 over 2, which is 2. So there we go. That midpoint. Oh, sorry, that got blurry there. The midpoint for this segment is at 4, 2. Okay. Last example I want to look at is number 19. This one you're giving two coordinates. They want you to find the missing endpoint P. The endpoint Q. They want you to find Q if P is the midpoint. Okay, so that's the complicated part. So let's kind of just roughly have it here. I have segment N, Q, P is the midpoint. Now, for this problem, and the other ones you might be given other numbers, but this one here you're given N and P. N is at 2, 0. P is at 5, 2. So the question is, what would the x and y be so that I get this midpoint? Some of you might be pretty good at kind of intuiting what that number would be, but there is a way to do this. I know 5 is the x value of the midpoint. So 5 has to equal, if I go back to my formula, x2 plus x1 over 2. Well, x2 plus x1 is x and 2 over 2. Same thing for the y's. The y value of the midpoint, which is 2, has to be the average of the y's. So y plus 0 over 2. And now I've got his two equations to solve for x and y. Double both sides first because you're canceling off the 2's. So you get 10 equals x plus 2. And then subtract 2. Okay, so x is 8. So this point is 8 comma something. Do the same thing over here. Multiply by 2 to cancel that 2 off. 4 is y plus 0, meaning just basically 4 is y. So 8 comma 4. Again, there's a lot of stuff in this one section, but really most of it is actually review from somewhere in Algebra 1 or pre-algebra. But if you do have questions, come on in the morning. I'll be more than willing to go through more of this homework with you. Okay, thanks.